In this video, I am going to go over the Gold Quality Award criteria, and we're actually going to start with 1.1. 1.1 and 1.1a. What's the difference between 1.1 and 1.a? Glad you asked. Let's get right into it. I'll show you. All right, so first and foremost, this is the quality award, the Malcolm Baldrige Gold Quality Award. A lot of people believe that the supplement that you download from the AHCA website is the actual Gold Quality Award. It isn't. The criteria, this is it. Make sure you get in the right one. Avert your eyes. I'm going to fast forward here, trying to get all the way. Aha, here we go. Senior leadership. The question that I received is all about this first sentence. How do senior leaders set and deploy your organization's mission, vision, and values? However, before I answer that question, let me just back up and give you a little bit of a heads up here. When we look at the silver criteria, let me go back to the silver criteria for a quick second. If we go to the silver criteria, we'll go to I didn't want the workbook. I don't know why I brought up the workbook. Here we go. This is what I want. Okay. Pardon all my chicken scratch. Okay. If we look at the way that this category is listed, it is listed as leadership, and 1.1 is not a question. 1.1 is a heading. It just simply says senior leadership. And then 1.1a has the question, how do senior leaders lead the organization? That's the first question in 1.1. Well, that's at the silver level. When we look at it from the gold level, the gold point of view, look at this. 1.1, it says, how do senior leaders lead the organization? And now 1.1a1 is how do senior leaders set and deploy? A lot of people make this mistake. So quick heads up here. We are expecting an answer to this first part of the question. So the first thing that you're going to do when you're applying for the Gold Quality Award is answer the question. This would be the basic. This is the basic question in the heading. So don't be fooled. You're like, well, in silver, it wasn't a question. It was just a heading. Fair. Here it's a question. So make sure you're answering first. How do your senior leaders lead the organization? That's the basic. And then you're going to answer 1.1a1, 1.1a2, 1.1b, right, and so on and so forth. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let me go to my little workbook here. Yes, I created a workbook for the gold as well. And here's the first part of that question, 1.1, how do senior leaders lead the organization? I'm going to keep saying this until everybody gets it, but when we ask how, we're always asking about the process, but that's not the question that I got a call about. I got an email. Somebody is asking me about this question here. How do senior leaders set and deploy? And you can see in my workbook, I've already answered it because a lot of people, they struggle with this one word set. What does it mean to set? How do you set and deploy? What does set mean? It literally means establish. Establish. How do you first establish? How do you first let everybody in your organization know what your mission, vision, and values are? And then how do you deploy? So we want to also focus on, let me change the color of my pen here. We also want to focus on this word and equals two parts or more, which means there's two questions here. Question number one, how do senior leaders set your organization's mission, vision, and values? And question number two is, how do your senior leaders deploy your organization's mission, vision, and values? And by deploy, I'm going to keep going back on my pen here. By deploy, this simply means tell or inform. So set means establish, and deploy means to inform. And so how do you set your mission, vision, and values so everybody knows? And then how do you deploy them? There's so many great ways that organizations do this. I was reading about an organization that literally has, it's so fun. They literally have their core values, their organization's core values, carved into the concrete steps leading to the organization. Like you see them when you're walking to the door. That's a pretty cool way of establishing or setting or kind of like calling your shot. You know, you remember that whole, I don't know if you remember this, but I don't remember it, of course, because I was not born. But Babe Ruth famously would point to where he was going to, hit a grand slam. That's him setting his intention. Boom, right there. That's where I'm going with that ball. Boom. I actually It's been a little bit, but I used to frequent liquor stores quite often. I know it's like a confessional, but there's a liquor store in New Hampshire, I think, where when you're walking into the door, it has like an automatic door that opens up for you. Right above that automatic door is a sign that says, "The best employees work here." Oh, I got to tell you, when you see a sign out front of a door that of an organization, of a business that says the best employees work here, do you know what you expect when you walk in the door? You expect the best employees. And when you find the best employees, you're like, this place is really great, so it's kind of like one of those, you get what you expect, or you're putting that intention out there. That's what we're talking about here. How do you set it? How do you establish it? How do you put your intention, let everybody know what your mission, vision, and your values are? I'm going to give you one more because there's a very important concept here, especially at the gold level, and it's this whole idea of systematic. And systematic just simply means that something is repeatable, and measurable. So if something is, you can't see my writing. If something is repeatable and measurable, we consider it systematic. Means it's not reactive, it is proactive. It is something that we can tell, we know, right? Like I have a little cue card on my monitor here. It's always a reminder. It says, how do you know? That's the number one question we're asking here. How do you know? How do you know? How do you know? So if you have the more systematic processes you have, the more, of course, you know, right? And so I'll give you an example of something that we do, and maybe you do it too. It's likely that you do, because it's likely that you have all the good systems and processes in place to run your organization. We have our mission, our vision, and our core values written out in our employee handbook. And our employee to include like the rules and the regulations, all the requirements, and it goes over like the overtime pay and this, the how to earn PTO time. Like that, it's an employee handbook, it has all that stuff. But it begins with our mission, vision, and values. And we have an orientation, what we call general orientation, or GO, in our organization. And everybody who wants to work for our organization has to go through the general orientation program. And the very first thing that the educator, we have a nurse educator that runs our general orientation, the very first thing that our nurse educator does in every orientation class is they go over the employee handbook. And the first thing they go over in the employee handbook is the mission, vision, and values. And that is, they are establishing, they are setting the mission, vision. They're starting with it. Like, hey, everybody, you need to know what our mission is here, what our vision is here, and what our core values are. That's how we establish it. We set it in the beginning. And then we also have annual in-services, and one of those in-services includes going over the company rules and regulations, i.e. the company handbook, the employee handbook. And what's the first thing we go over in that in-service every year? You guessed it, the mission, the vision, and the values. And that is a systematic way for us to know that we are able to establish our mission, vision, and values. Everybody is told about it, learns about it, every employee anyway, learns about it. And then annually, we also give a refresher because we do an in-service on our company rules and regulations, which again, employee handbook, this is where this is. That is a systematic process on how to set and deploy. So not only do we set it, but then we deploy it, but deploy it in the same meeting. Some anecdotal, but also very effective ways of deploying would be having your mission, vision, or your values carved into the concrete steps out front, or posted in the front lobby, or on the website, or by the time clock, or in your literature, in your email signature line. All of these places, even wearable. A lot of places have wearable, shirts with the mission statement on, or shirts with their values, or those little jelly bracelets, that kind of thing. So there's all kinds of ways to deploy your mission, vision, and values. Some are systematic, some are a little bit anecdotal because, having it printed on a shirt, how many people read it? I don't know, right? Like it's anecdotal, it's not exactly systematic. But this is what you want. This is the way to think about how to set and deploy. The challenge that you have to come up with through this application is not only do we want to know how you do it with your workforce, which is all I've talked about, but how do you do it through your leadership system? And how do you do it to your key suppliers and partners and your patients and your other stakeholders and other customers? How do you do it to your residents? How do you do it to your family members? How do you set your mission and vision and values to your vendors, your families, your residents, your patients, your collaborators, your partners, everybody? How do you do it through your leadership system? What does that even mean? That, my friend, is a question for another day. I hope you found this helpful. And if you are applying for the Gold Quality Award and you need any assistance, I'd love to help. Give me a call. See you later. Thank you for watching, and if you got value from this video, please like, subscribe, follow, and share with your friends and colleagues. I would very much appreciate it. And of course, if you are interested in applying for a bronze, silver, or gold quality award through the American Healthcare Association, I would absolutely love to help you win.